Starting off 1985 with an interesting one, though I do need to go back a bit and talk about something that released in 1984 first. Family Basic was a piece of programming software released for the Famicom that allowed people to code their own very simple games. This early version released in 1984 on June 21st. Sharp and Hudson Soft helped with the development of this one. While this isn't a game, it is at least somewhat noteworthy since a lot of the pre-made assets you could use for the game were from earlier Mario games. Mario and Pauline were both featured, as well as a few enemies. There's also Achilles, who I mentioned in the 1984 bonus video as appearing in Versus Pinball. While this early version of Family Basic didn't come with any games itself, it did give instructions on a few you could program yourself. There's some screenshots of them featured here, but I didn't go out of my way to program these because I'm not intelligent enough to do so. And I don't think these are Mario games any more so than a Mario Maker level that is featured in a manual would be. Where things changed though is Family Basic V3, released on February 21st, 1985, which is more of the same but does feature a few pre-made games you could play when booting it up. These are very simple, do not expect anything crazy, but it is interesting to show them off. I can't say for certain, but I feel as though this game is the most obscure Mario game that isn't a web game or some random pinball machine. It certainly isn't something I've seen people talk about beyond my research for this series. Game number 0 is Heart. For whatever reason, you have to put N for no when it asks you to play. There really isn't much gameplay to this one, as this heart just fills up on its own. The wiki says it uses the microphone in some way, but no matter what I do there doesn't seem to be any way to fail this game. Once the heart fills up, Mario and Pauline walk up to the heart together, symbolizing their unending love and how they'll always be together definitely forever and not stopped in like 2 games. Game number 1 is Penpen Meiro. You play as a penguin named Penpen that walks around this grid avoiding sidesteppers. You have the ability to drop a couple eggs that temporarily stun the sidesteppers. Your end goal is to touch each of the numbers in order. This is probably a good opportunity to mention that the controls for all these games aren't super responsive. Apart from the novelty of being able to make your own Famicom games using an official Famicom product, the games you create are always going to be pretty jank, and aren't able to be anything impressive by themselves. Part of me would absolutely love to see someone make something completely crazy using the limitations here though. Even for these official games, movement just kinda doesn't work a lot of the time. It isn't a huge deal with how simplistic these games are, but it does feel weird. Getting all 9 numbers just wins you the game. If we go back to the beginning, choosing the opposite option puts us in this weird mode which I'm really not even sure what's going on. It gives the impression of a level creator in some way, but I couldn't manage to do anything here. Game number 2 is Mario World. Surely the most well-known game we'll play that has Mario World in the title. Starting the game as Game 2 will cause Mario to fall to his death as there's no level. Instead, you have to put it as Game 2, 1. This one is really just you traversing this board while trying to collect both apples and the numbers in their sequential order. You have to avoid these blue robot guys called Nita Nitas, who just kind of float around randomly on the stage. The various stacks of 2 lines you see around the stage are trampolines that launch you higher. Mario's momentum feels kinda weird in this one. You also need to stick around the collectibles for a second before moving on since there's some lag in getting collected. Even after collecting all the apples and numbers, the game won't end. I wait out the timer here, but nothing unique happens. Game number 3 is Star Killer. This one feels the most unpolished out of these 4 games. I initially start with the 2-player option, though the second player is just chilling there since it's just me playing. Turning the ship feels like the most delayed thing you could possibly conceive of, giving you very little influence on where the ship even goes. These first enemies are just called spinners. The game's HUD only appears after you lose your first life for whatever reason. The other enemies that could appear are fighter flies, fire from Donkey Kong, and the Achilles birds. There's a level counter on the bottom right that I assume controls the enemies that pop up, but I highly doubt there's much to worry about in terms of progress. Once you lose all of your ships, the game just randomly starts controlling the ship by itself and makes it randomly float around and shooting at random. Here's some gameplay where I play against the computer. They worry more about trying to kill you than the enemies, so I try to kill them first. That's kind of it, both for this game and Family Basic V3 as a whole. The next video is going to begin the transition into actual real video games, as Wrecking Crew will take multiple videos to cover.